I think if I'm remembering correctly, when I was last here, I was sharing how I was excited about having the privilege to be a part of season 1, and I thought everything went really well, and I was looking forward to season 2, and how Pastor Miller was going to open up the glorious gospel of Jesus Christ and help to explain in concepts and words that the listeners, contemporary listeners, would be able to understand and apply to their lives. And so now to be here, halfway through season 2, and for what I have observed of Pastor Miller's work with you in the first part of the season, I think he has done an excellent job in unfolding the good news of Jesus Christ, the grace of God in a person, broken into history and all the ramifications of that for our lives even today, 2,000 years later. And I have also been pleasantly surprised, not because I've doubted Pastor Miller's expository gift or his love for the Lord, but when you two get together, there's, I think, a chemistry. There's a dynamo, and the interaction and the passion that comes through the mic and through the screen.
Yeah, I've got that too.
When you guys are together, I think our viewers appreciate that and can latch into that, and that's what we want.
Yeah. Because
what we're talking about is attractive, and when it's coming through in a attractive way, it's just beauty upon beauty, and there's reality in that comes through in that, and there's power in that. So to be back and to be part of this exciting season 2, I feel very blessed.
Yes, definitely. I have a few things in mind that I want to until with you, but first, we just last week was Christmas, so you know that Christmas is about the gospel that God gave His only begotten Son to the world, and that's the gift. And interestingly enough, whenever I'm around the time of Christmas, I actually have Easter in mind as well.
Yeah. So I think a good place to start is to see a connection between Christmas and Easter. In fact, it's an unbreakable bond between Christmas and Easter. One of the things that I've had the opportunity to do when I am not working at Cornell is do some guest speaking at some different local churches. And in my last message, I made that point that if there was no Christmas, if there was no incarnation, that is, the eternal God, invisible, becoming visible in a man, the God-man, fully God, and becoming fully man, Jesus of Nazareth, which we celebrate at Christmas, then there would be no Easter. Because there would have been no Good Friday. And there wouldn't be good news. We don't need a moral improvement program. And I think many people, I'll speak as a Westerner, as an American, we have Christian underpinnings to our society. But over time, there's less and less of a connection between our forefathers' faith and our current faith as a collective society. But one thing, so what happens is the understanding that our forefathers had is we don't need to be better people, we don't need better morals, we need life. We are dead, we need resurrection. And so if we still think in terms of, well, we just need to be morally better people, we need to be more virtuous, then we don't see the significance of Christmas as the beginning in history of God's plan of deliverance, of salvation unfolding. And then Christmas becomes insignificant. But if we realize that we need resurrection, we need to be delivered from a mortal enemy, yes, Satan, yes, death, but ultimately our own sin, then we see, well, Christmas is step one.
Yeah.
It is essential. It has to happen.
Yeah.
And God did set in motion this great plan to take those who are spiritually dead, all of us, and everyone who believes in Jesus, we are made alive.
Not only in a secular environment, but also among Christians. Well, there's some people say we shouldn't celebrate Christmas because we're not certain. We don't know for certain that the 25th of December was the time, and I'm always happy to direct them to Isaiah chapter 9 because, like you mentioned, we were in darkness, we were dead. So I like this passage where, Isaiah chapter 9, where the prophet is talking about the people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. And it goes on, and in verse 6 it says that, for to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulder, and he will call Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. And for me, this is one among so many others, so many other verses that talks about the importance, how important and crucial or critical it is for us to know that God actually come, like God come and lived among us, So what would you say to that? Like for some Christians, say, well, we don't know for certain the time when Christ came, and we shouldn't be celebrating Christmas.
Yeah. So that's definitely an objection that I'm also familiar with, is if we don't know for sure that Jesus was born on December 25th in the little town of Bethlehem 2,000 years ago, between 6 and 4 BC, most scholars would say was the actual birth date, then should we be celebrating Christmas at all? Because certainly we look around and we know that what started off as a holy celebration has become very commercialized. The whole idea of Santa Claus, there's no biblical foundation for that. It's definitely a spin-off of a culture that is not interested in Christianity or in the gospel, but just profits. But I think my answer to that would be, my understanding is December 25th was a pagan holiday. It was a time of basically celebrating the changing of the seasons, connected with the winter solstice. And when Christianity began to expand in the first 300 years in the Roman Empire, believers decided that we want to have a day where we can specifically concentrate on celebrating God's gift of his son becoming a man to be our Savior. And then that grew into Advent, 40 days, not 40 days, but a season of 4 weeks leading up to Christmas Day to prepare our hearts for the celebration of Christmas. So I think the need to have a day to focus on God and his grace and Jesus Christ is so important that there is a way that we can celebrate Christmas and have it be focused on Christ himself.
Yes.
And we don't have to let the commercialization of our culture destroy the joy of the season.
Definitely, and I agree with you, Matthew. And another thing is Colossians chapter 2, verse 16 and on, states as far as, therefore do not let anyone judge you by what you eat or drink with regard to a religious festival, new moon celebration, or Sabbath. As far as, specific date.
I completely agree with that point. In a sense, every day should be thought of by Christians as Christmas, because it's impossible for us as finite human beings to get our mind around the fact that the eternal, unchanging, self-existent God himself limited himself and became a helpless baby to grow up as a man, suffering all that is common to us in this broken world that we live in, and then some, as you were alluding to earlier, that division that Jesus experienced at every stage of his life. That'll take eternity for us to deepen our appreciation of what God has done for us. So in a sense, it's not too much to think of every day as Christmas. So the exact date at the end of the day is not the most important issue. Historically, December 25th is the day that the church recognizes, the Western church recognizes as Christmas. The Eastern church has some different dates at the beginning of January. But I think one of the benefits of having a particular date is it's concrete. It's something you can look at on the calendar, and you can prepare our minds and our hearts toward that particular opportunity to join together as a whole body to celebrate is important, because we're physical beings, and we're not. Yes, we are spiritual beings, but we're also physical beings. So we need those physical reminders. We need something tangible, something we can touch, something that we can see. And that's what a date on a calendar does for us. And in fact, again, as you read from the book of Colossians, Paul does give us freedom. So I'm not making any rules here. I'm just speaking from my own experience and reflections upon Scripture. But it just occurred to me that Christmas is all about the incarnation, the immaterial, spiritual being of God the Son becoming a physical human being. There's a parallel with a date on a calendar. If it's just yes, let's celebrate the coming of Christ, let's celebrate the incarnation and what that means for the unfolding of the gospel with Good Friday and Easter Sunday, we can forget. It's easier to forget if it's not something that, okay, there's a date, we have some traditions to help us understand and appreciate more fully the significance of this time. So yeah, I think that's helpful. So I would caution people, don't be so quick to, as the saying goes, throw away the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Don't throw away the essence, the substance, the glory, the main reason for our choices of when to celebrate, just because there's a lot of external stuff that's kind of gotten mixed in over the years.